Yo, LL,
What's up, Joe?
man, I love the opportunity that we have to have our interview guests and come in and share all their knowledge. And I love the times that we take to really talk about a particular topic, whether it's been burnout or some of the other amazing things that we've been able to collaborate on. But I think it's important that we take a moment and share some of the amazing memories or moments that we've shared either together or individual throughout our career. So I got a proposal for you. Let's call it a moment in time. What you think?
I love it. Let's do it.
Let's get it going. What's going on, ATJ family? We're here and we're back with another episode of Moments in Time where LL and I take the opportunity to share some very specific memories or situations that we have throughout our career. What's going on, LL?
Living the dream, man. How are you?
I'm doing well as always. Before we jump in, man, make sure that the people understand how can they stay connected to the podcast.
Yep. As always, please like and follow us on Apple Podcasts and YouTube at ATJ the Podcast. And you can also follow us on the socials, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook at ATJ the Podcast. And of course, if you're looking for any assistance, we would love to help. So reach out to us directly at atjcareercoaching.com.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got a few clients rolling with us, man. So shouts out to them. Really excited about the work that we're doing with our clients on the coaching side. But
it's been awesome, man. I love doing that type of work, and it's just fantastic.
I agree. And you've gotten me more comfortable in this work, and I'm really excited to see it continue to progress. But what we're here for today is to really dive into another moment in time. And today's question, here's the backdrop. I want to throw it to you first as always. What do you think is the biggest mistake that you've made throughout your career?
Great question. So the biggest mistake that I've made throughout my career is, I would still go back to the time where, I had this emergency surgery and did not take the time necessary for myself to heal. Again, doctor said it was going to be like month and a half, 2 months. I jumped back in within a week, and it was one of these situations where I screwed myself. I really did. And, I was trying to do too much. I wasn't feeling it. Like physically, mentally, everything just wasn't working, but I didn't want to miss the work. Nobody put it on me. I just didn't want to miss the work. I didn't want to miss what we were doing. And I felt like I had to. So, that kind of started me down this really bad path where, my work quality just started to decrease, and I was getting worse and worse. And I wasn't, again, taking that time for myself to truly recover and get myself back to a good place. So that to me is probably the biggest mistake that I've made in my career.
Wow. I'm curious, man, because, obviously I lived through that with you. From afar, we were, on the other sides of the country, obviously it happened where you're in Michigan. But, obviously you went back home to SoCal or where you're living at the time. And I saw that, but I'm just curious. You mentioned that the pressure wasn't put on you two. So what do you think drove you to feel that unnecessary pressure, in hindsight, unnecessary pressure to push your body in a place that it wasn't prepared to go?
It was the people. It was the team. We were already running pretty lean from a headcount standpoint. Of course, being at a startup, being pre-revenue, especially in HR where you're not really generating revenue, right? We were always told to run lean, and you saw that in the budgets. You saw that in our headcounts. So me being out for a certain amount of time put more on the rest of the team. And I didn't want to do that. I was already putting a lot on them. I was already putting a lot of pressure on them to do whatever it is necessary, right? So I didn't want to add to that. So it was one of these things that, I just ended up jumping back in because I wanted to, and I didn't want to put any more on anybody else.
No, that's fair, man. And it's a very serious topic, but when you say on them, while I'm
Mhm.
sitting right here, it's kind of weird, man. Because I was one of them. Why didn't you say
Yeah.
on y'all? Like,
Oh,
why you just
okay.
cut me out the story, man? Who are these them that doesn't include me?
Yeah, so including you,
Oh,
Joe,
okay.
sorry.
Thank you.
But I mean, you know, you were there, you felt it,
Absolutely.
and,
Absolutely.
yeah, so I didn't wanna put any more on y'all.
Thank you, man. You
Yeah.
in the South. You could just say y'all. No, but last question I have on it is, we talk when we interview our guests, right? We do the
Mhm.
hindsight thing, the go back in the time machine. What was the big, obviously it's the self-care, but how would you articulate the advice you would have gave yourself prior to needing to have the surgery and all the things that transpired afterwards?
How would I articulate that? Is just that, man, I it's not worth it.
Mm,
Just like any other job, any other organization, doesn't matter if you go out, if you voluntarily leave, a company can replace you real quick, and they
mhm.
can find other people to backfill your work. So it's not worth it for you to, put yourself in a terrible situation because you're trying to keep up, because you want to make sure everyone's okay, at the end of the day, it's just not worth it.
Yeah, I love and I think it's always so important. And what I heard, obviously you articulate yourself well, so I don't need to re-articulate it. But what I heard and the way I hear it, I think as people, we overvalue our worth at these companies. I don't care if you are on the C-suite. As soon as a rec can be filled, your job can be replaced. And quite frankly, there's probably someone, if you're high level, it's probably someone under you who can jump in and do your job
Yep.
the next day. So like be careful with, and I'm not telling anyone to lower your perspective or how you feel about yourself, because you're probably as dope as you think you are. But when it comes to businesses, don't overvalue yourself. Take care of yourself, because if you were to check out, they
Hmm.
will send flowers to your family, right? They'll start a foundation if you're more impactful enough on behalf of you, and they're going to fill your job and keep it moving, right? Let's call it what it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, the worst the company is going to experience is minor hiccup, right?
Yep.
But to you and your family, like you're not replaceable. But to
Yep.
the company, 100% are.
100%.
So
Great lesson, bro. Great
yeah.
lesson.
So let me turn it around on you. What's your biggest
Sure.
mistake?
Man, I was reflecting on this. Obviously, I'm semi perfect, so I don't have that many mistakes. But no, that's an absolute lie. One of the ones that really stood out, man, and it goes around early in my career, and this is still when you and I were, kind of in our beginning phases of connecting and building our friendship and brotherhood and all the things that we've built. Back then I had the opportunity. We've talked about this with my first leadership opportunity. I was able to lead a group of contractors, right? And
Yep.
so you
During the
have
busy
seasonal
season.
people during the busy season, right? During tax season.
Yep.
So you have these people coming from all different walks of life, whatever it is. And that was fine. It was cool. It was hard because it's 25 people. You have to get them up to speed very quickly. And everyone knows that this opportunity has an end date. So it's hard to motivate someone when it's going to end. But anyway, there were some parts that I struggled with. I was still starting to learn and define my leadership style, and how I wanted to show up. And I had this very naive trust, right? And I'm still a trusting guy, but I've matured in it. Back then, there was a very naive trust. And I had a leader at the time who, quite frankly, she was young in her leadership career too. I trusted her to the point where I shared all the things I was struggling with that she couldn't see. So I was pretty good at masking it and getting past it. But because I was so honest and trusting, and I shared all of my downfalls, all the things that I was struggling with, all the things I need to go get help with. She didn't have to know that. I'm like,
Hmm.
hey, this was my friend before my leader. Do you know that every single point that I shared showed up in my year in review as negatives, to a point where I was considered off track? And so the biggest mistake was, one, trusting and creating that situation for myself, and then flipping out because a human was a human. That person was new in leadership. They didn't know how to lead me or coach me or hold me accountable. I gave them perfect information to use, and they used it. There was a human being a human. I flipped out. I didn't sign it.
Mhm.
I told them what I thought about the situation, and I was put on a warning for it being insubordination. And it slowed down. It didn't stop my progress. I eventually got past that, got formal leadership opportunities, got different dope opportunities that we've talked about, grew in my career, all of that. So the story ended well.
Mhm.
But for that next 6 months, I was on high alert, right? Because I was insubordinate. Me, the easy to work with, very coachable, very flexible Joe was insubordinate because I let my feelings and my emotion get the best of me in that moment. So it was in my perspective, it was a huge mistake because of what I know now and how I operate today. I would have never shown up that way. I would have very more professionally and more level headedly gave them the feedback and managed up on why that was wrong. But it is what it is.
Mhm.
I created the situation. I kind of gotta live in it. So that's something that stands out in my mind. I'll never forget that feeling in that situation. And then as I mature, realizing how wrong I was for the way I reacted to a situation I created.
Yeah, and that's a really tough one though, because I mean we've all been in that situation. We've all trusted the wrong people, and it's burned us, right? So, um, yeah, a great lesson learned there. But I'm just gonna throw this out there. There's a really good positive that came out of that entire situation. What
Oh
would
yeah,
it be?
that's fair.
Yeah,
Look at you, man. You try. This ain't about you. But the
it is about
positive
me.
was, the positive was, because of that situation, I wasn't able to kind of progress. So the contract ended. That wasn't because of me. The contract just ended early, and because I was in this state of flux and I couldn't be promoted because I was on a lead or a warning or whatever, they had to throw me into a project and almost hide me for a few months as I was able to work through that warning. And they hid me on this team doing onboarding, working on a project with this random dude who I know is LL. So
Yeah,
look at that. Look how
good times, man.
our religious community would say God works in mysterious ways, and that's how that worked out. And that led me to being able to really, solidify the friendship. We already hung out, right? We were
Mhm.
already cool in the same friend group, but that's where I think it really started. That's where the Batman and Robin started, was
Yep.
that whole situation. So it did absolutely turn out to be a great situation. I just would have preferred it to not come from me losing my cool and saying some things that I absolutely don't represent the professional that I am.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's take it positive, man, because
Okay.
we start there with the mistake, but there are some amazing accomplishments on this screen. So I want you to share first. What do you consider one of, if not the biggest accomplishment you've experienced throughout your career?
Yeah, so for me, accomplishments, I mean, they all come from the team, my former team members, my direct reports. So watching them succeed is really just a huge high for me. So I know that's not a great answer, but as a people leader, that's what I go for. That's what I want, and that's what gets me going, right?
Mhm.
But then, as an individual, I was thinking about this. Um, I've been part of different organizations that have sent me to do basically to present at leadership conferences and industry conferences. So one of them that I can think of, I was invited to do basically continuing education presentations for this insurance organization in Ohio. So
Mm.
having that level of trust from my leadership at the time to know that, hey, we can send this kid out there, he can present to hundreds of industry veterans for their continuing education. That meant so much to me. So on a personal level, like I would say that's probably there. When leadership trusts me enough to put me out there in front of all these people and talk about whatever it is that they need me to talk about. So
No, yeah. And this is why that lands on me so strongly. And I know how proud it makes you, because I know that you don't love, especially
yeah.
then, you
Oh
talk
yeah.
about 10 years ago, however long that was. I know for a fact you didn't love that. But the fact that you had the confidence, the team put the confidence in you and you went out and did it, I know
Hmm.
that heightened the pride that you take in that, because you were so out of your comfort zone in that moment. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Didn't love it. Didn't love it like in the moment, but
Mhm.
man, looking back, I'm so glad I did it. I'm so
Dope,
glad I was able to have that opportunity.
dope, dope. Nah, I'm,
Yeah.
I'm, I'm. I don't even know if I knew that. I think I just learned that, just today. So that's fire to know, man.
Yeah.
I'm shocked you didn't call me and have me tag along with you. Hmm.
Yeah. So, Joe, your turn. What's your biggest accomplishment, or the one that you're most
Yeah,
proud of?
this one is a tough one because it's hard to balance. Because there's different levels of pride, right? But the one that I think really comes to mind as I'm looking at this screen, right here behind my left shoulder, you see that turquoise little box back there, right? Hold on, let me see.
Hmm. Like a Tiffany's box? What am I looking
Yeah,
at?
it is a Tiffany's box top, but this. Hey team, if y'all can see this, all of our ATJ family, I know you can't see it. It's glass, but it's an engraved. Um, I don't know what would you call this thing? So it says Joe Drew Hunley, HOV, which is an acronym from Home Office Visit Presenter of the Year Award, 2017 at LPO Financial. So context, why this makes me so proud to have this award. That's engraved. That's from Tiffany's, or they put it in a Tiffany's box. Either way, I'm good with it. Um, so as we've talked about, I currently work at LPL Financial. Shouts out to the team. I work in culture and inclusion. This is my second stint. So my first stint working at LPL Financial, I was on the business development side, and I did a lot of support for recruiting new clients. And I was able to present. So when the clients would come to the office down in Fort Mill, South Carolina, I would be one of the people to present to those clients to help win the business. And as any of our ATJ family may know, just by watching the show, unlike you and your TED talk that you did, that's I loved it a lot. Like that's kind of my space. It's all the other stuff that you like to do that I don't love it so much. But
Hmm.
that was my thing. And so I took it serious and I brought all the energy and the humor and all the things that I was blessed with, and how I engage. And a team of my peers voted on who was the presenter of the year for this year. Spoiler alert, obviously, I was the one who won. Where it made it so proud for me, the day I had no idea I won it, I didn't even know they voted on it. The day that I won it was the day that I submitted my resignation, letting the team know I was moving. I was moving up to Detroit and coming to join you at Rivian.
Oh
So
man.
just that feeling of I was already in doubt of going to a whole new job, right? A whole new industry, moving to a new state, like all the things. I accepted the role. I'm coming. And the last order of business was for them to tell me I was the best that year at this particular activity. So you can imagine just the confidence that I came in there. I mean, I'm sure you saw me, I came in, I had a different strut.
Yep.
It was the validation of you did it right and you did it so much that your peers thought, I mean, I made this up. It was unanimous, right? I made that part up. But, no, I don't know if anyone's here to count the votes. So I'm going to just stick with that. Unanimously, my peers said that I was the person who had the most impact throughout those presentations where they were able to convert more clients and bring more business into the company. So there's a lot, but that will stick with me as one of my most proud moments and accomplishments. And this is the only thing from Tiffany's that I have. So there you go.
That's awesome, man. So let me ask you this though. Did getting something like that on the day you put in your notice, did that make you want to, like, I don't know, am I doing the right thing now? Like, should I stay? Like, they obviously value me. They see all the great things that I do. Like, did it make you question your decision?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Like, bro, if it wasn't you on the other end of the phone, I probably would have called and rescinded my acceptance.
Okay.
But there was
Wow.
no way I was going to call you especially after everything that had happened and the way it transpired, and taking a trip to and preparing my family to move and all that. Um, I just wanted to go with it, and I'm thankful I did because the person that's sitting here today on this ATJ pod, I was not tracking to this level of knowledge and perspective in the job I was in.
Yeah.
But back to your question, hell yeah. I consider it because I'm like, I'm on the fast track here. You know, the managing director who presented the award to me, no lie, grabbed me, whispered to me, if I didn't engrave your name on this, I would take this shit back. No lie. And I laughed until I looked at him. Brother was serious, like stone cold face. And
Yeah.
I was just like, well, you're gonna have to pull it out my hands, brother, because I'm about to go to the car and take this out to the house right now. And that's all factual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Good times.
incredible, man.
No, thank you, man. No, and this was great, man. I love the question and just the reflection that it gave us opportunity to do and kind of share some of the things that, you know, we've been able to experience. So with that being said, LL, before we close out this awesome moment in time, give the people one more time opportunity, or let them know what the opportunities are to connect with us, whether it's social or even through the coaching.
Yep. Find us on the socials at ATJ the podcast, or if you need some direct help, some guidance, some coaching, Joe and I are here for you. You can reach out to us directly on our website, atjcareercoaching.com.
With that being said, we'll see you next time. This has been Moments in Time.